Hey everybody, it's Paula here from the Excel Club and welcome to today's video. In today's video, you're going to learn to recreate this cryptocurrency portfolio tracker in Excel. This is a live tracker that will update the pricing with a simple refresh. This sort of tracker is absolutely perfect for those that are hodling a couple of coins or a couple of tokens. It's not the perfect situation for those that are trading, and I will do another video at a later stage for those that would like a tracker in Excel that are trading. But for the moment, this is a tracker for those that are hodling some coins. Now, what does it show us? Well, it shows us the coins, the amount purchased, the data purchased, the amount invested, and then it's going to calculate or pull in the current value, profit or loss, return on investment, 24-hour change, current price, and daily return on investment. And from this, we're going to build this awesome little dashboard. Now, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I do hope that you will subscribe now and hit that notifications button so you don't miss any more of my videos. If you want other people to find this video, I do hope that you will hit that like button and feed that YouTube algorithm, because it's your likes that make sure my video gets seen by other people. For those that are new to the crypto game, there is a meetup on meetups.com. It is the global blockchain, crypto and trading community. We have a meetup coming up this week. I do hope that you will consider joining us for that. But that's a little side point. So let's get back now to this tracker. Now you will find, as I said, a link to the meetups group below, but you'll also find a link to my website below. And on my website, you can actually download this tracker if you don't want to go ahead and build it. It's going to take us about a half an hour to build, which isn't too long. But if you want to skip past all of that, do go ahead and download the tracker from my website. But you are going to have to watch this video to see how to update it with the correct coins, the coins that you're using, so it pulls in the right pricing for the right coins. So if you're ready to get stuck in, let's hop into a blank worksheet and get started. So here we are now in a blank workbook, and I'm going to take these first two rows and I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. And I am then going to select the first row and press Control and 1 to get it into my formatting. And in my formatting, I'm going to select Fill and Fill Effects. Now for my fill effects in here, I am going to take these kind of yellowy goldy colors. So I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to go down to the next lightest one and say okay. And then I'm going to select the cells directly underneath these. And again, I'm going to press Control and 1, and I'm going to go to Fill Effects. And in my Fill Effects, I am going to take the third color or the second color and move it down into a lighter color. So that will give us that gradient fill at the top of our spreadsheet. I'm then going to take the rest of all of these cells down here, and I'm going to go to Control and 1, and I'm going to fill them in this very light color. So now I have my spreadsheet filled in. Next, I'm going to increase the zoom on this to about 120%. So now we have our color set up. What we now need to do is insert a table, and this table is where we're going to insert all of our purchases, all of the coins that we actually have. So we can start by saying coin. We can then say amount purchased, date of purchase, total invested, current value. We have profit, loss. We have return on investment. We have the 24-hour percentage change. We have the current price. And we have the average daily ROI. Now what we need to do now is make all of these columns a little bit bigger so that our data is spread out across our spreadsheet. So that's just a little bit too big at the moment. So now we have them spread out across our spreadsheet. So I'm going to highlight all of these cells, and I'm going to press Control and T. Control and T is going to convert this data into a table for us. Now these are our headers. So I'm going to select my table has headers. So now in here, I need to do a little bit of formatting to the actual table. So I'm going to go to my table design ribbon, and in my table design ribbon, I'm going to select this. Let me see which one I will select. I am going to select this light one, because the light one will then show all of the colors behind. And I'm going to take my headers, and I'm going to make my headers bold, and I am going to center my headers as well. Now, I already have a little bit of data set up, but how you're going to enter data into this is you're going to put the name of your coin in here. You're going to put the amount purchased. So how many of these coins have you bought? You're going to put in the date, the total invested. Now, the current value, profit and loss, return on investment, 24-hour change, current price, and daily return on investment. These are all values that we're either going to calculate or we are going to pull into our spreadsheet. So I'm just going to copy and paste a little bit of data into this table so we have some data to work with. So now we have some data in here to work with, and I'm going to just change some of these headers to include some symbols. So my current values are going to be in dollars. My profit and loss is also going to be shown in dollars. Now you can show this in different currencies if you want to, and you just put in your currency sign here that you have. So now we have our table of data set up, and I'm going to copy the formatting in these cells. So I'm going to say home, format painter, and straight under the table I'm going to just add the same color formatting straight under the table to what we had earlier on. So now we can start to set up our dashboard and the elements needed for our actual dashboard. So in our dashboard, we have some cards and some charts, and we're going to start by creating the cards. So we're going to start with acquisition cost, or the cost. After this, we're going to put in the profit or the loss. And then we're going to put in the holding. Then we're going to put in the worst return. And then we will put in the best return. Now from here we can do some formatting on all of these cells. So I'm going to select all of these cells here. And with all of these cells here, I am going to go to my formatting ribbon. So I'm going to go to home. And in home, I'm going to fill these cells. And I'm going to fill them in this kind of brown color. And I'm going to put the text in the bright yellow color. I'm going to make the text bold. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, size 14. And I'm also going to center it into each of these cells. Now the cells directly underneath, I'm going to select all of these cells as well directly underneath. And with these, again from my home ribbon, I am going to put a border all around these. And then with these cells that we put our headings into, I'm going to select these as well. And I'm also going to put a border around these, but I'm going to put a thicker border around these. Now row 15, I'm going to make row 15 a little bit bigger so we can put our values into these. Now our costs, well, our cost is going to be the sum of our total invested. So I'm selecting a column from a table here. So we don't see the cell references, we see a table reference as well instead. So we have our total invested amount. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to make this bold. I'm going to make it center. And I'm also going to make it a lot bigger text. I'm going to make it a size 16 text. Actually, I'm not going to make it bold. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger instead of bold. Now the profit and loss, well, we don't have a value in, but again, we can take the sum of our profit and loss column for our profit and loss. And then for our holding, we can take the sum of our current value for our holding value. Our worst return and our best return, then we will have to calculate later on. So I'm going to use my format painter. I'm going to copy the formatting into these cells. So now we have some of our cards available and our dashboard is quickly starting to take shape. I'm going to take a copy of these two here and I'm going to place them down here because we have a couple more cards that we want to put in. So we want to put in our 24-hour change. So it's 24-hour percentage change. And this one is going to be our total ROI. So not our average ROI, it's going to be our total ROI. So I can delete the values out of here. So now it's really starting to take shape. So what we're going to do now is we're going to quickly move on and we're going to put in some formulas into our spreadsheet. And then we'll connect to some data sources before we make the final charts to finish off on this dashboard, on this portfolio tracker. So our profit and our loss is going to be our current value minus our total invested. Our return on investment is going to be our profit and loss divided by our total investment. Our 24-hour change we're going to pull in. Our current price we're going to pull in. And our daily return on investment is something else that we also have to calculate. Now, the return on investment in here, we want to have this as percentages. So I'm just going to change this to percentage. Our 24-hour percentage change is also going to be a percentage column. So I'm just going to make sure that it is labeled as a percentage column. So next we're going to connect to the data source. Now, in a previous video, and I'll drop a link below this video, in a previous video, I showed you how to connect to CoinGecko API. And it's the CoinGecko API that we're going to connect to now to pull the data into our spreadsheet. And we need to do a little bit of transformation, and we're going to be using Get and Transform Data or Power Query for this. So let's first hop over to the website. So this is the CoinGecko API. And the API that I'm going to use is Get, Coins and Markets. Now, when you're in here, you have the option. I'll just open another one here to try it out. Okay. So when we try it out, we can put in our different parameters. So what I have entered into this is the fact that, well, I want USD as my base currency. I then put in all of the coins that I'm looking for data for. So we see we have Binance Coin, Litecoin, Polkadot. These are all the coins that are available here on my spreadsheet. So I have added them into here. Now, if you're unsure of what the coin names are, you can run a coin list first and make sure that you have the right coin ID. Now, it's the coin ID that you want. So it might be worth running your coin list first and getting the right coin IDs, then putting your coin IDs in here. When you execute this, it's going to give you a URL path that you'll need, and it'll also give you the response, the body type. So this URL path here is what we need. So I'm going to take a copy of this. Now from here, in Excel, we are going to go to our data ribbon. And from our data ribbon, we are going to say from web. Now this is going to bring up our from web connector, and it's looking for a URL. So I'm just literally pasting that URL in here and saying okay. And this is going to go and search the internet for that particular URL and get the data that's available from it. And it's going to open it up in Power Query. So this is Power Query opening up now. And what we see is it's found a list of records. We need to first convert this list to a table. And once it's converted to a table, we just say okay to this. We can then expand the records. So I press this little button up here to expand the records. Now what we need is the ID symbol name. We need the current price, and we want the price change percentage in the last 24 hours. Do we want anything else from there? No. Select the ones we want, untick use original column and say okay. And this has brought in the details for us now into Power Query. Now the percentage we need to do a little bit of work on. So from transform, we are going to go to standard. We're going to divide. We're going to divide this by 100. Because when we load it back into Excel, we want to show it as a percentage. So now we can say file, close and load. And this is going to set up a new spreadsheet, a new worksheet in your spreadsheet containing all of this data. So we see now we have this new worksheet and we have our queries and connections. I'm going to close our queries and connections and I'm going to go back over to our weekly sheet. Now in here, we can now do some lookups and we can pull back in the values that we want. So let's do an X lookup and we're going to look up our coin name. So where are we going to look up our coin name? Well, we're going to look it up in the name column and we are going to return the current price and close our bracket and hit enter. And that's returned the current prices for us. Now I'm going to format these into a dollar so it's easy for everybody to see. We also need to get the 24-hour change. So again, I'll do another lookup. I'm going to look up my coin name. I'm going to look it up in the name column of the data we've pulled in. And I want to bring back my price change. So now we can see we have our 24-hour price change pulled into the spreadsheet for us. So now we have two fields left to fill. We have our current value and we have our daily return on investment. Our current value is going to be our purchase amount multiplied by our current price. And that's going to give us our current value. So now we can see that we had bought $14,000 worth of crypto. We made $9,000 in profit and we're holding $23,000. So let's look at our daily return. Well, our average daily return can be calculated with a little bit of date math. So we know we can first calculate the number of days. So if we say today, and we just open close that bracket, minus our investment date. Now that's come in date format. So I'm going to change this from date format to number format. So we can see, so there's been 30 days since the 1st of February 21. Now we're going to take this 30 and we are going to divide our return on investment divided by the number of days that we just calculated, and that's going to give you our average daily return on investment. So I'm going to change that to a percentage. So now we can see that this coin here, our Binance coin, is giving us a 12% return on investment per day. Now we can go ahead and we can calculate our total return on investment, our 24-hour change, and our worst and best returning coins. Our average 24-hour change, we can take our average function. So we're going to take our average function and we're going to take our 24-hour change column and we're going to get the average of our 24-hour change column. Now I'm going to change this as well to percentage because that is in percentage. Our total return on investment, well, that is going to be our profit and loss divided by our costs. And that again is going to give us a percentage. So I'm just going to copy the format from this one over onto this one. Now I'm going to take a copy of this cell and place it here. And I'm going to take a copy of this cell and I'm also going to place this cell here as well. So what we want now is the worst return or the worst performer and the best performer. So I'm going to delete the text that is in the bottom of these. And I'm going to say equals to, and I'm going to say equals to the min. And the min is going to be the return on investment. And that's going to return our minimum return on investment. And I'm going to change that as well to percentage. Now using this, I'm going to do an X lookup. And I'm going to look up our worst percentage. I'm going to look it up in our return column. And I'm going to return the coin name instead. So that now gives us the coin name and the return that it's on. Now, we need to do a little bit of formatting with this. So what size do I have this text over here? It is 22. So we're going to make this 22 and this 22. So let's change these to 22 and see if they fit. And I'm also going to center them. Now, because this is the worst returning coin, let us change the color of the text on this. The worst returning coin isn't always going to have a negative value, but it is the worst returning coin. So we are going to change the color of the writing in it. And our best return coin, we're actually going to fill these in a green color. So I'm going to select this green color for the text. So our best return is going to be equal to the max. And we're going to take the max of our return on investment. And we see we get 34%. I'm going to change this to the percentage so we can see it's 300%. And then we're going to do our X lookup. Our X lookup is going to look up that percentage in our return column. And it's going to return for us the coin name. So now we have our coin name here as our best performer. And we also have our worst performer here as well. Just a little bit more formatting on that. So I'm going to add it into the center. So now we can see that very quickly, the coin that's performing worst is Ether, and the coin that's performing best in our portfolio is our Binance coin. Now from here, we're going to create some charts, but before we create some charts, I'm going to show you how to refresh this data. So on your data ribbon, if you go to your data ribbon and you hit refresh and refresh all, this is going to update your current prices for you anytime that you hit refresh, which in turn is going to update all of this for you. If at some stage you add a new coin to your portfolio that you want to hodl, you can just come along. You can insert a row here. You can add your new coin to the row. But when you do this, you need to remember to go back and change your data connection. So let me show you how to do that now. If we go to data, and in data, you need to go to queries and connections. In queries and connections, we're going to open that back up again. So this is bringing us back into Power Query for a second, because I want to show you how to add a new coin. Now up here in our source, we can see in our source, we have the URL that we copied. Now we can go back to the CoinGecko API website, add in the new coin name, and then get a new URL and just paste it in here. You don't have to redo the query. You need to just overpaste this HTTPS request, overpaste it with a new one. Alternatively, if you have a new coin, you need to add the new coin name, then percentage, then 2 to separate the coin. So let's say we were adding Bitcoin again. I just copied it and pressed paste. So let's say this time it was XRP. We would say XRP after we have a percentage and a 2. And that would then bring XRP in as well. Once we have added in the new step, you need to come over to applied steps, jump down to the end to make sure nothing went wrong, and then just close and load, and it'll update your table in your spreadsheet for you, which will then update everything in here. So the last step now is to create some charts, and these charts are going to show the holdings that we have available. So I'm going to select the coins, I'm going to select the total invested, and I am going to select the profit and loss. Now the total invested plus the profit and loss is going to give you your current value. I'm going to insert a chart from here, and the chart that I'm going to insert is going to be a stacked column chart. So with this stacked column chart, we need to do a little bit of formatting on it. So we could leave this in down the bottom if we wanted to leave it in down the bottom. So I'm going to change the fields. So I'm going to format data series. And from my data series, I'm going to go to my fill option. And in my fill option, I'm going to change this to a kind of a darker green color. And then I'm going to select the top ones, and I'm going to change them to a lighter green color. I think I'll also add a little bit of shadow to these just to give them a little bit of depth. So I'm going to select both of the series and add the shadow to the series. So I'm also going to remove the outline from this chart. I'm going to have no line around the chart, and I'm also going to have no fill. Now, no fill means that the chart becomes transparent. So now I can take my chart and we can drag it down here. And we can quickly see then what we have of each coin. We need to put a chart title in here. The acquisition cost with the profit and loss. And I'm going to just pull that down a tiny bit so it is not lined over. So that is our first chart complete. Our second chart is going to show our return on investment. So I'm going to take our coins and I'm going to take the return on investment. And from here, I'm going to insert a chart. And this time I am going to insert a bar chart. So we see we have our bar chart here. And I'm going to again do some formatting. So I'm going to remove these. I'm going to remove the grid lines on these as well. I'm also going to add in some data labels. So we can add our data labels in there to see the actual percentages. On these, I'm going to format the data series as well. And I'm going to format the data series more in line with the current colors that we are using. So I'm going to go to my fill and I'm going to fill this in a green color. And then I'm going to make the gap overlay smaller. I'm going to change that down to 50%. And that makes these a little bit bigger. And then let's go ahead and add a little bit of a shadow to these as well to give it that little bit of depth. And then finally, in our plot area, I'm going to say no fill and no border. So now this chart is showing us our return on investment. I never said no fill. So now we have a return on investment chart as well. So we can change the title. And I'm going to overwrite that to be or percentage ROI. So now we can see the percentage on each coin that we have. This chart also seems to still have the line around it. So I'm going to remove the border from around it so it is seamless with the rest of the spreadsheet. Now the final chart that we're going to insert. So I am going to select my current value and my coins. And I'm going to insert a chart here. So I'm going to select the tree map chart. And we can move this tree map chart down here. So now I can just delete all of these values. We can come in here and we can add some data labels. Now with the data labels, we're going to go into more options because we also want to show the value on these data labels. Now for the coloring on these, I am going to go to color and I'm going to select a green color palette for the whole thing. There's one green color palette. Let me go down a little bit more. No, I'd rather this one. So now we have and we can put in a title because that is our total portfolio. And now just like that, we have created a dashboard that it's going to track for us the coins that we're hodling. Now, like I said, this type of spreadsheet's no good for those that are trading. And I will do another video with a dashboard for traders at a different stage. But for those that are hodling, this is absolutely perfect. Let's do some finishing up steps. So we're going to put in a text box up here. And with this text box, we are going to say crypto portfolio. I'm going to center this. So we're going to say home. I'm going to center it. I'm going to make it a lot bigger. And then I'm going to format the actual text box as well. So we select the text box, format shape, and I'm going to have no fill and no line in there too. So now we have a little header on our worksheet. So that's it. That is our crypto portfolio tracker. And to update it, remember, go to data, refresh all, and it's going to refresh all the data for you and keep it up to date. And you're always going to know where you stand with the coins that you're holding. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did and you haven't yet hit that like button, please do so now. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more of my videos. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye now.